Hello, everyone. Welcome to our joint workshop with AdvisoryNetPEST and Oper-8, IPMWORKS and IPM Decisions. It's nice to have you all on board. I noticed that probably because you used the link that I shared, a lot of you are joining with my name, Francisca Viveiros. So if you can please rename yourselves to have your real names, I think it would be very beneficial so that we know who we're talking to at all times. If you can do so, I think it's a good help. We're just giving 1 or 2 minutes for everyone to join the meeting. And yes, then we'll start with the presentations. There are still people joining us, so let's give just a few minutes for everyone to join. I still see a lot of people with my name, so if you can rename yourselves instead of having an army of Franciscas, we can have everyone's real name, and I think it would be nice to know who is in the room with us. If you don't know how to rename yourselves, you can go into the participants button here at the lower part of your screen. And where you see participants, you would click there and you'd have the list of everyone that's in the room with us. When you see your name, which should be the top one, you click on the 3 little dots and you should have the option to rename yourself. And there you can write your real name. Okay, I think I'll just wait 1 or 2 more minutes to let everyone join us. And then we'll start with our presentation for this morning. As you probably already know and have guessed by looking at our PowerPoint slide, this is a joint workshop organized by AdvisoryNetPEST, IPM Decisions, IPMWORKS, and Oper-8. We want to talk to you a bit about what we have in common, which are tools and practices for sustainable pest management. Each one of the projects focuses on a little bit of a different aspect, I would say, of pest management, but we all have a very common goal in mind, and so we thought it would be wonderful to join efforts and to let each one of the project networks get to know a bit more about what else we are doing in different EU-funded projects, because so many of these results and resources can be shared and used by more people, and we think that would make it even more interesting. Okay, I think maybe we can go ahead and start. Hopefully we're almost all in here. So for starters, I'd like to share with you a bit what we have planned for today. So we want on the first hand to give you a brief overview of what are these 4 different projects, what are the main goals and the main differences among them. We try to make it lighter so that we don't have a big morning of just PowerPoint presentations. And so we have made a quiz. We will quiz you on the different projects so that you can learn a bit about the different projects, the different goals, and what we have in common as well. Hope to get to learn a bit about the different projects. We'll present to you the different peer-to-peer learning tools that the projects have. Some of these tools would be like the Hub Coach, the Cross Visit, the demo event, and some more. And then we'll talk about some key results and resources. So in some projects, we were collecting best practices. Some projects have produced online toolboxes. Some projects are producing case studies or training modules. And so we'll talk to you all about these different resources that exist, where you can find them, and yeah, hopefully you'll be more likely to use them once you know what they are and where they are. And so let's get started. Can you please change the slide? Ah, perfect. So just a little bit of housekeeping, as the colleagues from the UK always say. I really find this expression funny for someone that is not a native speaker. But so we would like to ask you to turn your microphone off when you are not speaking. If you have questions, please raise your hand, or you can write them directly in the chat. The meeting is already being recorded, so we want to share it later on our YouTube channels for people that maybe we're not able to attend today. We want to know if anyone has a problem with that. We hope not. Okay, we hope we can move forward from that. Just regarding the chat, we'll have, hopefully we'll have a moment where we can answer all your questions later this morning. However, if something is missing, we want to answer them in writing so that then you'll have the opportunity to read back all the answers that eventually we won't have time to discuss today. So let's get into the quiz. Please take your mobile phones off. We have prepared a Mentimeter for you, and you can join us at menti.com. So you can open either in your phone or your internet browser, menti.com, and then use this code 7717 7784 to join us. And our goal is a bit to ask you which project aims at promoting integrated pest management and at reducing the reliance on chemical pesticides. Okay, we already have some votes. Let's also give some minutes for everyone to join the Mentimeter so to have time to see who really knows about these projects. We already have 20 people in the Mentimeter. Let's wait maybe a bit more because we already have around 50 people in the room. So let's just give them some time to join us there. Let's maybe wait a bit more. So you have a few different options and different answers already. Some people are really liking the quiz, and I'm very excited to see that. So we have 30 something people in the Mentimeter. Maybe I just give 1 or 2 more minutes for everyone to join. We still have some people joining the room. Ah, great. Mark just put the Mentimeter codes in the chat, and I think that's a great help. Thank you, Mark. Okay, so we have 3 people that think that AdvisoryNetPEST is the correct answer. 5 people voted for IPMWORKS, 3 people for IPM Decisions, 1 for Oper-8, and 21 people think it's all of them. The correct answer is actually all of them. So this is something we'll go over as well later today, which is we want to explain exactly how is it that the projects are working together, and how it is that they have similar goals, even if the way they are acting might be a bit different. In the next questions, you'll get to understand better, and maybe I'll do a wrap up later on. So can you please change the slide, Beatrice, if it's possible? Okay, so this is one of the ways one of the projects is working to reduce the use of chemical pesticides. So this project set up a network of demo farms based on local hubs of 10 to 15 farmers. Each hub is facilitated by an advisor or a hub coach. Let's see who knows the real answer. I saw that Vere here in the chat is asking about the protocol of today's meeting. Are you talking about the agenda of today? We have shared it at the beginning of the meeting, but I can share with you the link where you can see it as well. Okay, so we already have some people voting for AdvisoryNetPEST, some people voting for IPM Decisions, and some people voting for Oper-8. The correct answer is actually it's actually IPMWORKS, I'm so sorry, that has created a big network of around 22 hubs of 10 to 15 farmers each, and has been working organizing demo events to share some IPM good practices. We have some similar structures in the other projects, but slightly different. So, for instance, the case of AdvisoryNetPEST, we are working with advisors. So we have like advisor facilitators for advisors as well. So it's not exactly this. So maybe this was a bit of a trick question. I apologize. And the same with Oper-8. So they're focusing more on operational groups. So that's not exactly the same as well. But don't worry, we'll have some time. And Nicholas, the coordinator of IPMWORKS, will share all about it in just a few minutes. So maybe we can go on to the next question. Okay, so this project developed a digital platform offering an easy access to many decision support systems. Do you know what it is? So Vera, I just saw your new comment. Yes, we can share the slides, and the recording of today's meeting will also be available on our website afterwards. So hopefully you can share it with your project group as well. Okay, so everyone or the majority of us actually voted for IPM Decisions, and that is right. So IPM Decisions has prepared a platform that Mark will also share with us a little later today about different decision support systems. IPMWORKS has also produced a toolbox. It's slightly different, and we'll get to learn a bit more about it as well. So let's move on to our next question. Okay, so this might have an easy answer because I already spoke a bit about this earlier. So the project aims at establishing a EU-wide network of advisors focused on the reduction of the use and risk of pesticides. So I was just saying that IPMWORKS focused a lot on working with farmers, and it's true that it is AdvisoryNetPEST, a project that is working more with advisors. So the answers are all correct. Thank you so much for your participation. Let's go on to our next question. Okay, that sounds great. The project is promoting the use of decision support systems to avoid unnecessary treatments. Let's see, do you know what is the correct answer? We are getting some answers. Let's just give a little bit of some time. So the answer we had actually thought about would be IPMWORKS and IPM Decisions, because these projects are promoting a lot of different IPM practices that in fact help reduce the unnecessary treatments. I see a lot of diverse answers, and probably you're right. The other projects are sharing them maybe in some other ways and maybe with some different names. So I guess that all answers are correct at the moment. And thank you so much for participating. the truth is that the different projects sometimes use different words for their different concepts, and that is why sometimes it is we had prepared like some right and wrong answers, but after all, we're all working for the same purpose. So I guess all answers are right there. Now the project coordinates operational groups engaged in finding non-chemical solutions to manage weeds in all farming sectors. I guess the name here is a big tell, and it's not so hard to answer after all. So yes, most of the answers are correct. Again, Oper-8 is in fact coordinating a series of operational groups, and so they are reaching a lot of different target groups like that. And their main focus is on weed management across farming sectors. So we'll also get to hear a bit more on that in just a little while. But yes, this is just a very, very small introduction. I'm sure they'll do a much better job than I'm doing in presenting all the project and its results. Okay, so this project focuses on identifying and disseminating novel approaches, focus on reducing the use and risk of pesticides. Let's see if you know which project is doing this. So we had planned for the right answer again to be AdvisoryNetPEST because that's exactly the term that we chose, novel approaches in the project. And Beatriz will tell you all about what is exactly the definition of novel approach. But in a way, as we all have this end goal, and even if with different methodologies, that is what we're always trying to reach. So I guess in a way, all answers are correct again. Don't worry too much, there is not a prize. So if you're not managing to get all the answers that we had prepared as right, it's not a big deal. And then you'll get to learn some more and maybe answer other questions with more information. So I guess there's still a chance to win today, maybe. Do you think pest forecast helps farmers and advisors make better decisions about how to manage crop pests? So we're out of the multiple choice questions and we really want to get a bit more your opinion and your feedback from your experience, because so many of these aspects have to do with our projects and how we are working on them, and we want to understand better maybe what our target groups say of these different tools and results that we have prepared, and we want to get a bit of a feedback before we can make your presentations in just 1 or 2 more minutes. So let's see if we can get some answers here. Okay, so someone is excited and said no doubts. It's good. Yes, such forecasts exist already in some pests. Definitely, it's an essential part of an IPM-driven farming practice. Yes, they reduce the uncertainty. Yeah, I think that's very important. About which pests are likely to be a risk to the crop and when. It's an essential part of an IPM-driven farm practice. I think it's very interesting. Oh, Mentimeter is being a bit difficult. And what would make no? Okay. Okay, we already have a lot of examples here. Okay, in Austria, it's very well implemented. It's nice to hear. So it's good to know that even a diverse group as we are, this is mostly a right yes answer. However, we have one here. It says depending on the pest and season. Would you care to elaborate a bit more? I don't know who put this comment. Would you like to raise your hand and make a comment or write something in the chat about this? I think it would be good to hear your opinion. Andres, I see your hand up. Would you like to comment on this?
Sure. That was my comment. Based on the experiences I have made, there are some pests that are just occurring so frequently throughout the season that even though you have a monitoring, all it will tell you is that there currently is a problem. So you still have to continually treat. So in this case, for some pests, monitoring will not decrease pesticide treatments because you just know the pest is there basically all the time or for all season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
But
understand.
yeah, if you have some other pest that occurs at a specific date or time in season, then of course it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you for your comment, Andres. It's always good to understand what you have in mind. I see Giovanni also raise your hands. So let's hear your comment and then maybe we move on to the next question.
Yeah, just a brief comment. In my experience as hub coach and advisor in my private professional activity, I noticed that farmers a lot of time have a lot of knowledge on what to use, what to spray, but not really on the pest. So it's for me the two baselines are if we have public DSS for free, maybe on WhatsApp, Telegram, and so on, could be the basic line for monitoring and say to farmers, have a look to it. Very simple. And then secondly, teach farmers how to do monitoring themselves. In my opinion, these are the two baselines.
Thank you, Giovanni, for your comment. We'll hear a bit about the decision support systems later today, so hopefully we'll get some tools. But of course, it's a very complex issue and not so easy to answer. Once again, we have some questions here to get your opinion. So what are the most useful ways to share knowledge and feedback about weeding solutions with practitioners? What do you think are some strategies that work well? Again, there is no right or wrong answer, so it's all up to you to see what you, from your experience, what works best, what is your feeling about how you can get the more attention and to provoke the most change in farmers and advisors' mind as well. Okay, so we have the strongest one we have, I believe, is organized on-field events, organized training sessions with experts, organized virtual events such as webinars or online workshops, get and share figures about the efficiency and CBA of the solutions. Then we have produce audiovisual materials, organize workshops, and other indoor activities. Okay, that's very interesting. I would say that my first answer would also be on-field events, so we're very in sync. Let's see what else we have here. So another opinion question, what do you think are the main breaks for adopting alternative weed control among farmers? From your feeling, why is it that they sometimes aren't so eager to make these changes? Okay, so expensive and time consuming are the two items that are on the lead right now. We also have no access to such equipment or lack of options for specific farm context. Okay, yes, that can be very impactful. No opportunities to test it. We also have complicated or impact on crop, which are also big aspects apparently. I would say the real answer is all of them, but it's good to see how the different opinions are organized. Yeah, so expensive and no access to equipment are clearly the biggest ones. Thank you so much, Beatrice, for sharing. And now we move on to the peer-to-peer learning tool. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing a bit your opinions, for hopefully for allowing us to organize a little crash test course on our projects. And now I'll give you some more detailed information. So hopefully it is easier for you to answer our questions from now on. So now I'll give the floor to Beatrice that will present a bit the peer-to-peer learning tools from AdvisoryNetPEST that are the cross visits. So go ahead.
Thank you, Francisca. So firstly, I will start by presenting the general concept of cross-visit. So we consider that a cross-visit is an international field visit that aims to promote the knowledge sharing and exchange with peers regarding a particular agricultural practice, but not only, can be also regarding issues, concerns, and experiences that the participants might bring with them to this kind of events. Also see demonstrations on the field on key agricultural practices that are used in the host country. The cross visits can also promote moments of discussion to assess if the practice that has been demonstrated can be applied and implemented in the participant's country, region, or even farm. And of course, the last but not the least, cross visits also aim to create network members between the participants, between peers, in order to promote this knowledge sharing and to make this knowledge sharing last beyond these events. So now passing to the specific case of AdvisoryNetPEST and presenting a bit what we are doing in AdvisoryNetPEST. So in this project, we aim to organize 42 cross visits during the project between 2025 and 2027. So this means that each year we will be organizing 14 cross visits. This is because we have 14 partner countries, so each country will be organizing one cross visit per year. Our cross visits have a particularity, which is the cross visits are organized by EU regional cluster level. And we consider that a EU region cluster is composed by countries that share more or less the same climatic characteristics and consequently share more or less the same problems. So it's easier to share knowledge and share experiences between the countries that belong to the same EU regional cluster. And lastly, the main aim of AdvisoryNetPEST cross visits is to demonstrate and share knowledge on novel approaches, which is a concept that I will explain later. But briefly, a novel approach consists on a practice that contributes for the reduction of the use and the risks of pesticides. So presenting here a specific example of a EU regional cluster. So we have 4 EU regional clusters. This one, the Northwest, is composed by 3 partner countries, so Belgium, the Netherlands, and United Kingdom, and each of these countries has an associated country, the ones that appear now. So in the cross visits of this EU regional cluster, all these countries will participate. So until the moment, we have organized 6 cross visits focused on the novel approaches that are presented in the column of the middle. And we have organized cross visits focused on the horticulture sector, arable crops, and orchards. But AdvisoryNetPEST is also focusing in the viticulture, soft fruits, ornamental, and vegetable sector. So by the end of the year, we will have cross visits organized in all these sectors. Thank you very much. I will now pass the word to Francisca. I know, yes, I will pass the word to Francisca, sorry.
You are muted, Francisca.
Sorry, I wasn't going far, muted. I was saying thank you, Francisca, thank you, Beatriz, so much. And now I see you have prepared also a question to get some feedback as well from participants. So if you can stay in our Mentimeter, we'd like to know, in your opinion, what are the aspects of cross visits that are most valuable for improving your work? Here is also just a give your opinion question, so there are no right answers. We just really want to think and to understand from your opinion what is the most important aspect or the most valuable one, I would say. We have peer discussion and field demonstrations being very strong, networking not so much. So I think it's also nice to have it around. maybe it's just the lesser of three and not necessarily not an important aspect. Beatrice, I don't know if you want to make some question to our audience based on these answers, or if we just should move along.
Yes, maybe just because I'm curious, maybe the networking, it's also included in the discussions moments. That's why you are not giving such a big importance to the networking. Well, this is what I'm supposing from the answers.
Yeah, I think that might be the case, and exactly that's why it's so. The peer discussions are the most important part, I would say. Okay, maybe you can move our slides. And how useful do you think cross visits are for learning about and adopting our cultural practices from other countries or regions? Okay, from our votes, I guess that this is a favorite of a peer-to-peer learning tool. I see some people find it very useful, others just somewhat useful. Do we have maybe someone that has chosen somewhat useful that would like to comment on this choice? And maybe someone from the very useful as well? If you'd like to raise your hands, maybe we just have one from each so that we have time to keep going. It would be nice to get some feedback. Well, apparently we don't have that many volunteers. So maybe we just move along and you can write in the chat maybe your opinion.
Words. My
Okay.
impressions, because I attended to one cross visit in Bulgaria. Our guests came from Greece and Romania. I was with them all the time, and I was with them on the field. And I was a witness of the conversations they had. And I was witness of how impressed they were from the practices we presented to them. They were asking questions, and the farmer, but also they received explanation from our advisors' colleagues why those techniques work, and also from the our scientists who we also invited to be with us. So I saw the excitement. Our colleagues from Romania, they said that something so simple and so resultful, like the practice they saw, and immediately they will disseminate this practice in Romania after they turn back. I mean, the impressions our guests had is really broad, is really detailed, and from their perspective, like a specialist, I think this method of sharing practice is really impressive, and gives, how to say, hope that in future the practices could be used in new geographical areas from new farmers, and the impact will be really positive. This is I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Evgenia. Thank you for sharing your view. And it's nice to see that you are one of these people that find it very useful to have cross visits. Okay, maybe we can move on to our next slide, please. And now we'll have Mark from IPM Decisions talking a bit about interactive co-design workshops. Mark, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So in IPM Decisions, we were creating an online platform, and as part of that, it was really important that we were building it really based on what farmers and advisors and others wanted to see, what would really find useful when it was finished. So we used an interactive workshop process, and we had 3 rounds of workshops that were carried out between 2019 and 2023. The first of those was face-to-face. We had great ambitions of lots of face-to-face meetings. Unfortunately, then there was a pandemic, which somewhat limited that, and we switched to online meetings. But we found that actually in both cases, we were able to really facilitate that discussion and understand what was driving people's perceptions of decision support systems, where they were using them and where they weren't using them. This 3 rounds of workshops also meant that each year we could develop a little further, and then we could share back those results of what we'd found in the previous year back to those groups. And it meant that we could really have that iterative process. So as well as facilitating that discussion between farmers and advisors on decision making, we also built something that reflected those discussions. So you can see in the images here that we were offering them different ways of accessing decision support systems. They would then vote on which one they would prefer, and then that was how the selected one that we then took forward into the design of the platform. So these workshops took place right across Europe, in lots of different countries. So we were getting a really good idea of what was going on. As part of that, we were also collecting data on their perceptions and use of systems, and that helped us to understand what the bigger barriers were, what the strategic barriers were, and that's feeding into a wider discussion on how we can take decision support systems forward. If you go on to the next slide, please. So that peer-to-peer learning approach that really was learning not just between farmers and advisors, but us as researchers and developers as well, led to the development of the IPM Decisions platform. And if you just click on the builds there, so that meant that we built something that was, you could log in and get detailed forecast for a given location. But if you click on, you can also see there's a map on the home page. So that was something that really came through from those discussions. People wanted to take a quick look at what the risks were, and then they can dig into the platform in more detail if they want to understand particular pests, risks in more detail for their location. And then there's lots of support there on the homepage if they want to understand how things are working. So the platform is open access and free to use. I said we were trying to take some of the messages out and turn those into a wider approach. So these are some of the papers that came out of there as well, and that's all helping us build a better idea of how we can get decision support systems working for farmers and advisors on the ground. And I think there was a comment earlier that it was useful to make these things really accessible, so that there is a quick alert to what pests are currently an issue. That's what our platform does. There was a comment that we should maybe make those accessible through things like WhatsApp. That is something that we would love to be able to do, and the platform has capability to do in the future. It's just an area we need to do a bit more development in. So I'll talk a bit more about the platform in detail later on, but we found that interactive process really valuable in creating the platform and understanding how it would be used and how it could be used better in the future. Thank you. Oh yeah, there was another slide. So this is also, we linked it in with the IPMWORKS project, and so the platform is linked to the toolbox, which I think will be talked a bit more detail later on. So the way the platform works is it can be used to share resources between different platforms. So you're hopefully making those decision support systems a bit more accessible, but also unpicking some of the detail behind some of the systems. So again, helping that training and helping people share what they're learning between each other and make it hopefully readily available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for your presentation. You had also prepared a few questions to get feedback from the audience. So do you find online workshops that include direct questions effective in capturing and sharing your views? What is a bit your feeling? Oh, great. The link to the platform is already in the chat. You can explore it. So I see mostly yes and a lot of likes, so I guess people are in synchrony. I don't know, Mark, if you'd like to make any questions or comments on this, but it seems that everyone
Yeah, I think
everyone is in accordance here. Go ahead, sorry.
the comment there that they can be difficult to organize online is true. These kind of workshops where we get specific feedback. So we present some ideas, we say that this is one way of doing things, this is another way of doing things. Which one of these do you prefer? That takes a lot of planning to make sure you've got the right questions and the right contrast, and you've got to explain things in a fair amount of detail. So it does take a bit more preparation, but the feedback you get through that is really useful and really constructive, and helps you build things in a much more targeted way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Maria, I see you raised your hand. Would you like to make a comment?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mark. That is really interesting because I was not very aware of IPM Decisions platform, and also I was just wondering if you had farmers do the online workshops. How did you get the technical feedback?
Yeah, so these workshops were attended by mainly farmers and advisors. I think over the 3 years across 12 countries, I think we had in excess of 300 farmers and advisors join. Now, this is mainly done through established groups. So our partners across Europe work directly with farmers and advisors already. And the first workshop was in person, and that helped a lot to get momentum going. I think in-person ones do work really well. But we were also going through the pandemic and everyone was learning how to use online things. So there were some challenges along the way, but on the whole, we had pretty good engagement.
Okay, well, I think I would be very interested to have maybe a small talk with you after, because in AdvisoryNetPEST, we have to organize those online workshops for the novel approaches that don't have the cross visits process. And so we are just starting, and surely we can learn from your experience about that.
Yep, happy to.
Sounds like a great synergy of projects already. Nicholas, you also have your hand up. Would you like to comment something?
Yeah, I wanted to report about one of our experience in IPMWORKS about interactive workshops we had in our final webinar this year. We organized a specific interactive workshop which was dedicated to what are the necessary policies to develop to promote the adoption of integrated pest management and reduce the reliance on pesticides. And this workshop was very successful, I think. So first of all, we asked the audience about ideas, about suggestions for policies that would be required. And then the audience did vote, had the possibility to vote for the different suggestions. And then we asked the audience to comment and discuss about the most voted suggestions. And this organization of these interactive workshops, I think, worked very well to collect and discuss about a specific topic, which was in this case required policies to promote the adoption of IPM. I just wanted to report on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. I think some interesting synergies can come from that. So, okay, maybe we can move into our next slide. Thank you so much for the comments we just got. Okay, and now we move to IPMWORKS, to the hubs and hub coaches and the booklets. Nicholas, if you'd like to go ahead with your presentation.
Yes, that's me again. So I am representing the tools, the two tools that were developed within IPMWORKS for promoting peer-to-peer knowledge exchange. Maybe next slide, please. As you know, IPMWORKS is a project which is over now, but we still expect to be able to continue and expand the network of demonstration farms that we developed during the project. And in IPMWORKS, we developed a specific methodology to work with farmers and promote a holistic approach to IPM to be able to effectively reduce the reliance on pesticides. And this methodology was based on peer-to-peer learning, and it was based on hubs and hub coaches. So what is a hub? A hub is a group of 10 to 15 farmers from the same region, so living close enough to be able to meet regularly and discuss about the pest problems. They are most often from the same sector, so they have the same pest problems on the same crops. There are volunteer farmers. There are pioneer farmers who are already implementing IPM and or who are wishing to go further in the development of IPM in their farm. And very important, they are ready to exchange knowledge. They are ready to discuss, to give knowledge to other peer farmers and also to receive some advices. And they are very prone to experiment new solutions for managing crop pests. And very important, the group discussions is a very important way of giving some more trust of the farmers in innovative solutions, so they are more prone and ready to experiment some new solutions. There are meeting often the farmers of the hubs. They are organizing field visits to discuss about their problems in the fields. And very important, they are also organizing demonstration events, which are based on success stories in IPM adoption in the hub, in a given farm of the hub. And the idea of the demonstration events is to showcase success stories and to convince other farmers of the regions who come to the farm that IPM is efficient and cost effective. And the hub coach is very important. The hub coach is an advisor who is coordinating and facilitating the hub. So the hub coach is organizing meetings, is facilitating peer-to-peer knowledge exchange. And the role is to give advice to individual farmers about IPM and to help the farmers think holistic for their pest management. They are also organizing, facilitating discussions, and they are also networking with other hub coaches from throughout Europe to be able to both exchange about new IPM solutions, technical aspects of IPM, but also on soft skills for the efficiency of this facilitation of the work of the group. So this is basically the concept of hub and hub coach, which proved to be very efficient in IPMWORKS and very endorsed both by farmers and by hub coaches who were engaged in this approach. Maybe if you go to the next slide, I think the next slide, oh no, it's Mentimeter. So I will talk about booklets later.
Nicholas, you had put a question here. Do you want maybe to read it and to see what answers we get? I think it might be easier than myself doing so.
Okay, so the question is, please cite several reasons why European farmers could be comfortable and happy or uncomfortable with the concept of local facilitated hub. What do you think?
We already have an answer here. It says comfortable if they feel they are among peers, other farmers. Advisors know how to interact with them, and comfortable if there is a sort of academic distance where someone just teaches something. I think this is very important to have this difference and to ensure that farmers and the hub coach or advisors are all at the same level and not feel like one of them is teaching the others, right? The goal really is to facilitate interaction that would already happen spontaneously. Yeah, I like this comment as well that says, because they are able to share thoughts and benchmark actions. They can be confident in their approach and keep sharing experiences. Some farmers might compete with others, so not really prone to exchange knowledge. I think this might be a problem. Nicholas, do you think this is something that we faced in IPMWORKS? What is your feeling?
Well, we did not face so much this in IPMWORKS because when we organized the network, we selected farmers based on their willingness to exchange knowledge. But we know that in some cases, in some regions and for specific markets, it can happen. Farmers might be competing with others.
Mm-hmm. We have uncomfortable due to competition, especially in the horticulture sector.
It could be an example of a sector where you can find some competition between farmers for the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone here also mentions that there needs to be a certain level of trust. So maybe it depends also on each country and how farmers or advisors are organized, and some work maybe needs to be done to create a strong network that everyone can trust before you can move along. We have some reasons why it might be good. So to improve market access, share resources and cost, support and training opportunities. I think all of these are very important and it's very interesting. Maybe we can move along to your next slide, Nicholas. Yeah.
Okay. So the second tool that was developed by IPMWORKS and which is related to peer-to-peer knowledge exchange is a tool of booklets. So in IPMWORKS, each hub actually produced 2 booklets, and this is one example of one booklet. This booklet was dedicated to the presentation of one given nice IPM strategy which is developed in a given farm. So here in this booklet, you have different pages. In the first page, the farmer is presenting his or her own farm, the soil context, the main crops, the main pest problems, and so on. And then there is a page here, in this case, which is presented. It's a farmer with producing some vine in Galicia, in northwestern Spain, and in a region which is difficult because very humid with a lot of disease pressure. And in the second page, the farmer is describing his IPM strategy. In this case, the strategy is based on pruning and the suppression of some leaves to decrease the pest pressure. The farmer is also using some biocontrol agents against codling moth. And fungicides are applied based on decision support systems to avoid any unnecessary treatment. And also they developed in this region some solutions to develop biodiversity. In this case, it's bats. It's bat houses for bats to facilitate the development of bats, which are doing some biocontrol against some insect pests in vineyards. And then there is a page to describe the results, what is good in terms of pest control, which are the pests that are very well controlled. What about the evolution of pesticide use after the implementation of this strategy, and a kind of self-assessment about what is nice. In this case, the farmer is very happy because he has decreased quite a lot the use of chemical pesticides. He's moderately satisfied because the workload tended to increase in this case. And then there is an overall assessment of the strategy. So those booklets were developed, and the idea is you can find those booklets from the IPMWORKS website, and also from the IPM resource toolbox that I will present thereafter. And the idea is to give examples of IPM strategies, demonstrating that at least in the case of this farm, it works and the farmer is happy with it. So the idea is to convince all the farmers about adopting IPM strategy.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. I think these are very valuable tools, summary resources. We already have here another question that is about how to boost the dissemination of such a document so it can be read by many farmers and advisors. I see someone already comment on it, saying that using a mix of different communication strategies might be the best way. We can also talk about partnerships or practical formatting as well. I'm not sure what exactly that means, so if you'd like to comment, I think it would be very interesting. And if someone else has something to add, please also write it in the Mentimeter. I think it would be nice. To include them on existing platforms, I think it's very important, through social media as well. I think all of these are some good strategies. So to make it simplified and unified message with links, full documents, and further reading, okay, it's also a solution. The newsletter, social media, and WhatsApp sharing, local extension groups for sure, use existing newsletters, use actively social media and forward. I have disseminating local technical events, also very important. Create a newsletter and promote it, for sure. It's also a nice option. Okay, maybe these are some good ideas that we can use to promote the booklets. Oh, avoid duplicating by building on existing resources. This is for sure one of the most important. We always have this feeling that farmers and advisors and so on, they're already involved in so many different platforms and projects and so on. They really don't want to have more complications, I would say. So maybe we can move along to our next slides. And I think now, yeah, it's all about Oper-8 and their demo events. So I'll pass the word to the Oper-8 partners. I believe, Olga, you are the one that will be presenting.
Yes, thank you, Francisca. And I want to thank you all and all the participating projects, and of course, Francisca and Beatrice for this lovely organization. I think we will have some nice results from it. So my name is Olga Kriesi. I represent Agricultural University of Athens and Oper-8, in which project coordinator is Professor Spiros Boudas. And a few things about Oper-8 before going to the demo events. As you saw in the beginning, Oper-8 is a thematic network, which that means we are trying to find everything that has to do with alternative food control. Our base is operational groups, so we're building among existing results that they have, and we're wanting to get people to know about alternative food control and to adopt them. So next slide, please. So our key component to disseminating and getting farmers to learn about alternative food control is demonstration events for short demo events. It is a central place for our learning strategy. And what we do in Oper-8 for, let me just tell you what is a demo event. So we're inviting people on site in farms, either they are big farms, corporations, pilot cases sometimes, and we are getting to know a solution, an alternative weed control solution. Either it's cultural, mechanical, or an innovative solutions such as hot foam. So from from the demo events, we're inviting a lot of people from various target groups. They are farmers, advisors, researchers. And what we do is we are showcasing real world tools. They are seeing other farmers, other use cases, and they are getting to know hands-on if that solution fits their farming practices and their farm size. And if they want to learn more, they're asking questions. So it's a collaborative and co-creation process. that people are getting to know for each specific solution. So what we're trying to do is to foster dialogue between farmers to farmers, and of course, see and boost the adoption of alternative weed control solutions. Some numbers which we are really proud about is that we have 70 plus demo events planned by the end of the project. Actually, the number is 75 demo events were planned in Oper-8 across 7 countries. And actually this number is when we reach over 4,700 participants. So as you can see, people are really interested in participating in our demo events, either if it's just Oper-8 with different projects or in bigger events. And they're really keen to learn about more in alternative weed control. We translate everything to viable materials such as videos, practice abstract practice, translated into several languages so everybody could get a hands on it and learning more about our goal, which is non-chemical weed control. I think that's it. So, Francisco?
Yes, so we have the questions that you had prepared for the Mentimeter. So one of them is, would you participate in a demo event? Would like to see a bit what you have in mind. We hope that after this description from Olga, the answers are all yes, but let's see. So we get a lot of yeses, that's very nice. Maybe we can move the slide to see some other questions. Of course, yes, if close enough. Yes, of course. Distance is always a big aspect in organizing demo events. Ritesh, can you maybe change the slide so we can see the next one? Perfect, thank you so much. And what kind of solutions would you like to demonstrate or see demonstrated in these demo events? So we have cost-effective solutions, new techniques or practices, okay. We have looking at the evaluation of the approach, the results rather than the application. Okay, that's very interesting. Then we have ornamental crops, innovation on how to control pests, lowering the pesticide use. So that's very aligned with the goals of Oper-8. Solutions that help the average farmer, biocontrol solutions as well, also a very interesting one. Waste management, okay, this is interesting. I hadn't thought about that one. Scalable and effective solutions, that's nice. Olga, were you expecting these answers or did you have something else in mind?
I like that they are not boring like the common answers we get. And I like that they are different, and I really like the results one to see the evaluation and what is happening afterwards. A solution is being implemented to the field. So really interesting answers we're getting.
That's nice. And what do you want to gain from a demo event? So we have here already the combination of several simple techniques, so diversified rotation, resistant cultivars, sowing dates, companion crops, eventually more mechanical weeding. Okay, makes sense as well. Let's see if there is something else that you can get from this. Okay, the demonstration that works in real life. That's the most important one, right? Tips and tricks for better crop results management. That's also very interesting. Then we have results, how new practices work, both how it works and what limitations are there, how to combine alternative solutions, meet farmers with the same issues, in general, a new idea or approach to bring home and test to spread it to my colleagues and neighbors. That's very important, and this is the multiplier effect right there. Get some information about the economics of IPM, visible results, and a more detailed explanation from the host, including pros and cons. Options on how I can make my life easier, maybe? I don't know. Okay, so I think we already gave a big overview of some of these peer-to-peer learning tools. We talked about CrossFit, about IPM decision support systems, the platform, the use of hub coaches and booklets, the use of demo events as well. And now we really want to share with you some project results as well. So some things that we already have that you can use with information that you can take to your day-to-day and hopefully make a difference in your life. But before that, I see that we have a hand up. Marie, would you like to comment something?
Yes, I'm sorry to come back a bit previously. It's a question for Olga. I was wondering if there is ornamental tree production in this project. And if yes, can we participate and have pounds for it, even though we're not inside the project, like not part of the consortium or?
You mean if you can participate in our demo events if you're not part of the consortium?
Yeah,
Yes.
if there are subsidies for the participants that are not inside the project, like for the travel costs and all.
For the travel costs, you mean? Well, for the demo events, we are trying to be how do I say it? Each country is I'm sorry, I forgot my name. Each country is organizing their demo events, so they are seeing where people can come, and they're going to a region where they have a farmers cooperative, someone that they are having participating with. So we are not covering their costs, but we are inviting everybody, even if they are not in our project or they are not considered part of a national network, and everybody can participate in our daily events. We have another component which is cross visits, similar to what AdvisoryNetPEST says, where there are experts, we are covering their costs, but they are only for our consortium. So for our demo events, they are free and everybody can participate.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Olga, for this answer. And as I was saying, we'll move along to some of the results and the resources of the projects. We'll also start with the AdvisoryNetPEST once again. And so Beatriz will come along to share with us a bit the novel approaches and the case studies, if I'm mistaken. I hope there's nothing missing.
Okay, thank you, Francisca. Yes, I will present the novel approaches and the case studies that we are developing in AdvisoryNetPEST. But firstly, starting by the description and of this concept of the novel approach. So in AdvisoryNetPEST, we have developed this concept, novel approach, and we consider that the novel approach is not something that is entirely new or even experimental, and that it was never tested in farms. Also not something that is already widely used and that has no impact on the reduction of the use and the risks of pesticides, but something that has been proven that can reduce the use and the risks of pesticides, and that has been tested in a few farms at least. So until the moment, we have identified 31 novel approaches, selected, because we have an identification section, we have an identification phase, and then we select the most promising ones. So during the first year of the project, we have selected 31 novel approaches, and this selection happened for the key European crop sectors, so arable crops, orchards, ornamental vegetables, soft fruits, and vineyard. So in the end, by the end of the project and until the end of 2027, we want to have selected 93 novel approaches. And after each selection phase, because the selection phase happens every year, so will happen during the first 3 years of the project, and after the selection phase, we want to develop case studies. Case studies that we consider as a document that is regarding and only focused on the novel approach and includes key aspects of the novel approach. And it is also a document that is ready to disseminate through the project channel. So this document can reach the target audience of the project and, of course, of these kind of documents. So I have put here some examples of novel approaches that have been selected already. Of course, I won't read them all, but of course we can see some examples. For example, for the orchard sector, we see that the track and kill strategy against Drosophila suzuki was a novel approach that was selected. Also for the vegetable sector, the strengthening of biodiversity through implementation of strips and or rotation was also another practice that was selection. And for example, for the soft fruits, the better mildew and gray mold control in open field strawberry using warning systems. All these novel approaches and the other ones that were selected, so the 31, will be adapted to case studies that I will explain now more or less what it is. So as I said before, a case study will be a summarizing document, will be a 4 or 5-page document regarding the novel approach, and will include some key aspects about it, about all of them. So we will have one case study per novel approach selected. And we have structured the case studies, so would have some essential chapters, has the description of the technique, key success factors, the methodology of implementation, but also the resources and skills that are needed to implement and adopt the novel approach. Then also a farmer testimony, a testimony of the farmer that is using this practice and it is implementing this practice, but also a testimony from the advisor that is working with the farmer. We thought this could be interesting since our project is also targeted to advisors. Then a chapter focused on the policy and regulatory support, social and cultural acceptance, the benefits and boundaries, and the last one, the last chapter is a chapter that includes a table that summarizes the scoring on different indicators. These indicators are selected for each novel approach. So the indicators used in this chapter are different from one novel approach to other, but technical, social, economic, and environmental indicators are selected to all novel approaches and summarized in this chapter and scored. So using this approach, we believe that we can build a document that can clarify people, at least briefly, regarding a novel approach and contact us to receive more information about it if there is interest on it. Thank you very much. Now, I would like also to make you some questions. So, in your opinion, how useful is the development of this kind of documents, so of case studies about novel approaches or agricultural practices? How this can be helpful? Okay, thank you. I'm seeing some answers. Francisca, would you like also to comment?
Yeah. So we have sounds very helpful, very useful, inspiring for other farmers and advisors. It is useful, especially where it links to further resources for advisors to then assess the approach themselves. Case studies are a powerful tool to bridge the gap between research and practice. I think this is actually a very interesting comment. It says that it accelerates the adoption of sustainable, efficient, and locally adapted agriculture innovation. I think it's for sure true. Very useful to see new approaches in practice, very useful that they are thoroughly documented, also very important so that none of the information goes missing. Then we have very useful, especially when successfully presented, helpful to have another view on a problem. Solutions can be different from our mindset. I think that is also true, and maybe this can be a tool that helps change minds, and so have a real impact and a very interesting impact for sure. Useful if robust enough to, and includes how to optimize effectiveness through tests, and when it has worked well. So also true for sure. Thank you, Beatrice. I don't know if you have a second question, but I think all
No,
of this
I don't
feedback is
think
very
so.
interesting.
Let's see. Oh, sorry. These are this is repeated. I believe it is a
no
mistake.
problem. Maybe we can move along to IPM Decisions in the IPM Decisions platform. I'll give the floor to Mark.
Hello again. So I kind of flagged up a quick look at the homepage of the IPM Decisions platform earlier. And so I'm just going to look at a bit more detail. So go to the next slide. As I said before, the platform was created so that people could very quickly get an initial assessment of risks from the risk map. Now, we've only got a few risk maps that are live at the moment. One is for Septoria, one is for codling moth in Southern Europe, and one is for pollen beetle migration in Northern Europe. So if you click through the builds, please. So that's what I showed you earlier. This hopefully makes it quick for people to understand what the platform's about. But if you want to look in more detail, then you can log in and create a new farm anywhere in Europe. And what this does is creates a farm for you and links the weather data to that location, so that you can start running these decision support systems, which are largely forecast systems. So you, for your new farm, you would select the systems that you are interested in. So that might be looking at particular pests in particular crops. And we can see here there's a long list of different crop pest combinations. And in some cases, there are multiple crops associated with a given pest. And that may impact how the model behind the system is working. You can also see where the model came from. And if you click on, you can see a bit more detail about each model and the information. And then you can, so can you go back one, please? And then in the platform, it'll then give you an idea of which pests are currently at high risk. So in this case, this is the use dashboard. You can see that there's a high risk associated with cutworm on potatoes at a particular farm in the north of England. And potato late blight is currently a low risk. You can also see there are several systems there that are grayed out, and that just shows that those models are not currently working. There's no expected risk associated with those particular pests at those crops. And you can also see some warning signs on some of them. Either there might be a green circle or a red triangle or an orange square. And those you can click on for more detail to see if there's an issue with the data that's coming through. So it might say I'm not running because there's no data available to run this model just now. Or it might say that there is data, but there are some gaps that you should be aware of. If you click on. So if you select one of these models, you can then look at the risk. And I'm here just put a comparison, which is something else you can do in the platform, showing, in this case, comparing Septoria humidity model, which looks at the risk of Septoria in winter wheat at a site in the UK. And this is looking at the risk over the season this year compared to a different site. And you can see that the risk of the two locations is low through this year, which is what we've seen for Septoria in 2025. But there is a difference between the two locations. And so by being able to compare these, you can start to see how the different levels of risk compare in different sites. So there's a few different aspects of the platform that enable you to do that. There's also an option to adapt some of the models. And I haven't got time to go into the detail of it, but it means for some of the models, you can change the parameters behind the model and see how that affects the risk associated. So in this case, I think it's the potato blight. You can see how if the disease is spread at a lower relative humidity, it'll affect the daily risk of the disease. So these are all things that you can have a look within the platform and adjust and tweak as you would like. But ultimately, what these forecasts do is to give you an idea of the risk of a particular pest in a particular crop. So in this case, you can see the risk of pollen beetle, and it's a fairly simple temperature model. The pollen beetle will only fly where it's above 16 degrees. Although they can start a few degrees before that, but main migration is about 16 degrees, and this gives you an idea of which days that's going to happen. So I can't give you a full tour in the, today, but I do encourage you to take a look at the platform and see which models might work for you and explore the different elements of what's available there. Because the platform was really, as I said before, designed to help farmers and advisors to improve access and consultation of these systems in order to help them make better decisions by giving a clear indication of what risks are ahead. We're also very keen to hear from any researchers and developers who are interested in decision support systems. One of the things that our platform can do is connect with different platforms across Europe. So we already use systems that are have been created in Norway. Those are pulled into our platform, and some of our models from the platform are also being pulled into the system in Norway. We're working with developers in Poland, in Germany, and in France, and other parts of Europe, so that we can share models that are being used across national borders more effectively. So please do get in touch. I think we've got one or two questions, but I can see there's also a hand raised, perhaps before we get to that.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Mr. Mark. In DSS informations, and when I select the category crop selection, there is the tomato 2 times. What's the difference between the first one and the second?
That is a very specific question, which I will look at and answer in the chat in a moment. But there are some cases where there are multiple definitions because they're different production systems. But I'll take a look and put an answer in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I was muted again. I was saying thank you, Alexander, for your question. Maybe we can move on to the question that Mark had prepared for everyone. So do you think pest risk forecast will become more or less important in IPM in the future? So we have that it will be more with continued improvements, and we talk about how it is important in combination with other preventive measures. They will become more important. I think that is for sure true. So thank you so much, Mark, for sharing this with us.
Yeah, I was going to comment on this one because what these models do is they give us an idea of a more precise idea of when pests are likely to become a risk to a crop. Now, at the moment, a lot of these were created to support pesticide applications. So looking at the need and the timing of applications. As we're moving towards more biological biopesticides in production, those novel approaches can require even more specific targeting of the pests, and that targeting is going to get more difficult because if you don't get some of these products on at the right time, they just won't work as effectively. So this is why I think that these forecasts are going to become much more important in the future because they're going to be helping guide much more sensitive applications.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mark, for the detailed description. I think maybe we can move on. I see Alexander has wrote another question in the chat, so hopefully you can look into his questions and answer directly on the chat. So maybe we can move on. And now Nicholas, from the coordinator from IPMWORKS, will talk a bit about the IPM Resource Toolbox. Nicholas, I'll leave the floor to you, and maybe we can change our slide.
Thank you, Francesca. So actually it was difficult for IPMWORKS to select a specific result because we had so many. But we made the decision to present today the IPM Resource Toolbox, also because it gives an opportunity to present other results that are accessible through this IPM Resource Toolbox. So next slide, please. So what is the IPM Resource Toolbox? It's a platform that was developed under the banner of IPMWORKS. It's a repository of any IPM-related resources in any language, in any languages, English, but also local languages. The resources that you can find there are either resources produced by IPMWORKS itself, for example, documents presenting and describing in details all this methodology based on hubs and hub coaches and how to organize the best facilitation of those hubs, but plenty of other resources produced by IPMWORKS. And also the IPM Resource Toolbox is also collected some resources from other sources, including previous projects on IPM, such as Endure, of course, IPM Decisions, which was the sister project of IPMWORKS, but other projects related to IPM. So basically, you have some functionalities to search for the resources based on keywords, on the project source, on the country, on the crops, on the pest, and so on. So you can search in the database for resources. And today, so you can access this toolbox through the IPMWORKS website or following the link which is shown here on this slide. And if you go, I will give two examples of resources that both of them come from IPMWORKS. Next slide, please. The first resource that you can find is the list of e-learning modules on IPM that were developed in IPMWORKS. So we developed 8 modules on IPM. One is about the functioning of agroecosystems, the concept and the theory. One is about more on the policy context of IPM. One is dedicated to integrated weed management. We have integrated disease management, integrated invertebrate pest management. We have a number of holistic IPM examples that are described in specific modules. We have a module 7 on how to assess pesticide use, pesticide impact, and cost efficiency in IPM-based cropping systems. And the module 8 is very important. It is about the presentation of the methodology for working with farmers, promoting peer-to-peer knowledge exchange, and about soft skills that are necessary to best facilitate this kind of interacting work with farmers. So each module is based on videos. We have overall 43 videos. Each video is about 15 to 20 minutes, and each video is presented by an IPMWORKS expert presenting the domain. And also each video is related to one PowerPoint. And of course, all this material is supposed to be reused by anybody, by you, if you are interested, if you need some resources to do some courses on IPM, please go in this IPM Resource Toolbox, download all those this material and make use of it in your context. Next slide, please. The other resources that you can access through the IPM Resource Toolbox that we selected today, but there are plenty of others, is our booklets presenting quantitative evidence that IPM indeed works, meaning that IPM indeed allows to reduce the reliance on pesticides, allows to reduce the impact of pesticides, and is also cost effective. For example, here we have one example of one graph that is produced from one quantitative survey we did in IPMWORKS in a number of demonstration farms, as you can see here, from different hubs in different countries. And what is shown here is the differences in terms of pesticide use. We're using the treatment frequency index as an indicator of pesticide use, which is on the x-axis. And on the y-axis, you have an indicator of economic performance with the computation of the semi-net margin. And what we can see here is to compare that farmers in a given country, in a given group, who are using less pesticides through the implementation of holistic IPM, they get some similar economic performance as compared to the older farmers who are using much more pesticides. So that's the kind of resource that you can find from this IPM resource toolbox. But please connect and search the resources in the toolbox. Thank you very much, Francisca.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. I believe you had also planned a few questions for our audience. Maybe we can see them in the next slide. Yeah, perfect. Are you aware of other quantitative results demonstrating IPM allows to reduce the reliance on chemical pesticides while maintaining productivity? So we'd like to see the feedback from our audience. Maybe no one knows other results. Maybe it's too hard of a question. Should we move on? Maybe, yeah. So maybe we'll move on to. Oh, sorry, Nicholas. No one. Yes, we have a comment here.
By the way, it's mine. It's my comment. I just wanted to publicize about some PhD studies that have been done by INRAE in France. And by the way, those studies are using the data from the farm demonstration network that we have in France. And it's quite a unique database that allows to assess whether implementing IPM actually is cost effective or not. And it's very interesting to go and see those studies. And by the way, in IPMWORKS, and you can find them in the IPM resource toolbox, there are very short summaries of those PhD studies. So I do encourage you to all of you to go and search and read those very short leaflets presenting those PhD studies.
Thank you, Nicholas. Some answers are coming up, so we have some people that don't know any other results, which is perfectly fine. Some say that they do know them and they are using in network activities. Some are using the results in AdvisoryNetPEST. Someone here also has cited something that the European Commission has said. How about that pilot farms are allowing the reduction of pesticides in the use depending on the crop, while the yields remain stable and improved. So this is something interesting that we can look into to get more information about this. Thank you so much, Nicholas. And now we'll go into the final presentation of the day from Olga, again from Oper-8. She'll talk to us about their inventory database. So Olga, if you want to take the floor.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Francisca. Yes, we will talk about our inventory. We developed it under our project. And next slide, please. So we have, let's say, two components in our inventory. The first thing, which is the base of our inventory, is a repository database. What we did in our project, as I told you before, because we want to learn everything about alternative good control and disseminate it properly to our stakeholders, we did a systematic review to scientific bases such as Scopus, Elsevier, and also to commercial bases and outcomes from national and EU projects, from Cordis, Zenodo, Life, etc., these kind of platforms. So from the systematic review, of course, we had some criteria, and we ended up with more than 700 resources that we are storing in our inventory. We organized everything under the 5 pillars of integrated weed management from a similar Horizon 2020 project, IWM PACE. And what is this essentially is a database designed for farmers, researchers, and advisors to log in and get to know what they want about alternative weed control and what kind of solutions. As you know, we have cultural, mechanical, and integrated weed management diversifies everything really smoothly. So for us, it's a database that everyone can log in and see what they want on our topic. Next slide. Thank you. So here is a glimpse of our inventory, which is the inventory and some information about our project. Oh yes, also video. Here is the homepage. Here are the pillars I was talking about, and everything is organized. And here is an interactive map where you can see, of course, our research was in the U. And here is our inventory where you have the pillars, materials, and filter by crop, where we can select what you want and read what you want. Mostly they are papers, as I told you, and project outcomes. And here you can see the other interfaces. Perfect. I think it's done. Perfect. Thank you, Beatrice. And I think we skipped the slide, but it's okay. I will move it like that. The second component we have on our inventory, which is not yet available, it will be next week, is our best practices. So as in a consortium, our goal was, as I told you, to see what is available and to select the best practices for each country. So they're really country specific. Because as you know, the climates are really different, the farm sizes, the farm practices, etc. So we did a survey that we identified the needed barriers that farmers have to adopt alternative weed control solutions, and we also had the systematic review done. So from this and our national action plan, we ended up with 12 solutions per country that are the most promising to end up as best practice. To this, we had the first round of national workshops where we invited various stakeholders to assess these solutions in different country criteria like efficacy, environmental, social, and economic impact. From this, we had the 12 top ranked solutions. So from 20, we went to 12. To these 12, we had a first European workshop where we did some cross-country validation with the expert panel we have created in Oper-8, and then a second round of workshops, both national and European, but different criteria this time about technical readiness, ease of implementation, investment needs, training and education requirements, and policy recommendations. So these 12 solutions, from these 12 solutions, we picked 3 of them to do a cost and benefit analysis as well. So we have various data from the assessment and the CBA that we ended up with our best practices. So it's 12 per country, so 80 best practices that we consolidate for dissemination. So the next page you will see in our inventory quite soon is about the best practices, and you can pick each country. You will find the data from both workshops and the CBA, and you can explore. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olga. You had also prepared a few questions for the people that are seeing the workshop. Let's see what they are and let's discuss them a little bit. So, which specific improvements could be made to develop promising solutions? Either if it is research and development, electric powered tools, changing EU specification and rules. Do you have some comments here? Okay, we have pests, ecology, and behavior, so deeper understanding of life cycles, natural predators, and pest thresholds under changing climate conditions. Electric and autonomous precision sprayers reduce pesticide drift and optimize those. Camera-guided spot spraying, for instance. Focusing on pest biology and training to support effective use of novel approaches. Olga, I don't know if you want to comment on any of these comments, or if you had.
Yeah, sure. I really like this comment actually because they have both the cultural, what is happening in the past and the life cycles, and the mechanical, more innovative practices that they want to see implemented, that they want to have in their farm field. So it's really interesting for me.
I'm glad. I think we have one more question. We have some comments here as well. So find solutions to provide premium prices to products that require low amounts of chemical plant protection products. So it's very interesting. Then strengthen support for non-chemical alternatives. For example, faster approval and registration of biocontrol agents under the EU pesticide regulation. I think that makes perfect sense as well. Value chain development to use sheep wool into mulching. This is a very nice example that we also talked about in an AdvisoryNetPEST meeting. So it's nice to bring it up again. Emphasis that IPM planning should come first. A new solution should be integrated into the plan rather than trying to fit interesting approaches in without a holistic plan. I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah. To have a full plan is for sure a good solution. Let's see, I think there were some more questions as well. So what practices appear to be currently the most expected among the farmers community? What is your feeling from your work in the different countries? Maybe more on the field, maybe more in the office. What is your feeling here? Okay, we already have some comments. So machine reading techniques for weed management, that's for sure. Okay, we have some more comments now. So farmers often expect to get some more PPPs with low impact, but IPM is often more complex. That is for sure. It's not just the PPPs with low impact. Then precision application tools, especially for pesticides and herbicides, targeted spraying, for instance, using camera or sensor-based systems. I totally agree that the use of precise technologies is crucial here. Variable rate applications based on pest pressure maps. This makes a lot of sense as well, and I think it aligns a bit with everything we've heard regarding the IPM decision models as well. Drones for weed detection, release of beneficial insects, parasitoids, or use of entomopathogenic fungi or bacteria. So this for sure as well makes a lot of sense. Then lots of interest in approaches that focus on healthy soil management and build pest management on top of that. Largely that comes out as reduced tillage. Okay, it's also very important to ensure there is not so much erosion after all. Then we have farmers want genetics that reduce input costs without trade-offs in yield or quality. Farmers expect robust machines that reduce labor dependency, especially where manual weeding is costly. alternative PVPs to be sprayed with lower impacts and above all registers for the crop. That is very, very important. It seems we have something more hiding, maybe? Maybe, okay. Most farmers in the UK have implemented IPM, have done easy, low-hanging fruit solutions such as flower-rich grass margins and hedgerow management. A cautious approach seems to be prevalent. That seems smart, I would say. We'll have as well mulching, which is low cost, easy to apply, and lasting time. Also, very smart way of doing so. And I think that is all for this question. Maybe we should move on to the next one. Oh, okay. We don't have more questions. Thank you so much, Aldo, for your presentation. We have prepared a time now for Q&A. If you have additional questions that maybe you don't necessarily know which speaker to make the question to, but we want to ensure that all your questions regarding these different strategies, either peer-to-peer learning strategies or the different results, will be answered. I would just like to say that something that we said at the beginning, I'm not sure if everyone was here, is that as you already noticed, the meeting is being recorded and we'll share it on our YouTube channel afterwards. I will share also all the presentation slides and all the information regarding the different tools, the different platforms and so on. We'll share all of that. Mark will also for sure share the answers with Alexander of the questions he had directly regarding the platforms. We want to make sure that all of the information that we discussed today doesn't get lost and you can reuse it and see it again afterwards. You can save it for a rainy day when you might need it. Nevertheless, if you have additional questions, this is the moment to make them. I know it's been a long session. We're about to finish. We would just like to ensure that if you have any questions, you have the opportunity to let us know what they are, and we can hopefully help you in answering all. I don't know if any of our speakers has any additional comment that you'd also like to make a bit of as a wrap up. I think a lot of the results that we talked about today can for sure be used together in different projects as a way to multiply as well all of the things that we have discovered or all the materials that we have produced as well to ensure they don't get lost, because I know that sometimes there are so many options, so many resources that it's hard to use all of them. So I think we need to work on a lot of cross-pollination over the next few years. But I don't know if you have any other comments you'd like to make to our attendees. Well, I think no comments and no questions. I will also say that you can always email us with the direct questions you might have afterwards. Anything you might want to ask, maybe about how these platforms work better. Maybe once you receive the PowerPoint with all the slides, you'll have more questions for us regarding what you have there to read and so on. If you have questions, you can email us afterwards with questions as well. Don't worry about it. I would say just if there is no one that would like to make any other comments, that I would like to thank you all for being here with us. We gathered to have a lot of people with us for these 2 hours. We tried to make it quick and full of information. Maybe it was hard to follow at times. We apologize if that's the case, but it has been wonderful to count with all your presence. I would just like, if possible, to ask everyone to turn their camera on and we can have a picture of all of us together, because if we would do the workshop in presence, I think it would be nice to have a joint picture, but we can take it as well virtually, and I think it will be very nice as well. Let's see if we can all turn our cameras on. I believe we'll have a few pages, so I'll have to ask you to smile for a few minutes while I take pictures of all of the different pages of the Zoom faces that I have here. Just one moment. Sorry, I don't know what I did. Sorry. Just be patient, please. I'm taking the pictures, but there's just so many of us that I need a little bit of time. Okay, let's see if I can do. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready to smile for a very long time? Okay, let's start. Smile. Okay, I have the first page. Let me go into the second one. Oh, sorry. Okay, I have the first page. Let's go into the second page. You don't know in which page you are, so you just have to smile all the time just to prevent having a bad face. Thank you very much. I am just saving the pictures so I don't lose them. And I think we're ready. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this morning. I think it was very valuable to hear about all of the tools and the resources that we have in different projects. We'll make sure that we keep working together to ensure we can build on each other's results and bring the best possible outcomes to the general public. And so it has been very interesting to have the opportunity to talk with you today. Thank you so much for all your comments and questions. We tried to make this session interactive. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining us.